Yo, what's shaking, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Orange Bloods Texas Football Channel. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Santa Anwar is with us. I'm Geoff Ketchum. We're talking Hudson Card, his future. What's he doing for the holidays this year? Do us a solid, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are 10,000 plus and growing. We do appreciate you getting us to this unofficial mark that we wanted to cross before the holidays. Leave your comments in the comments section. Anwar, let's talk some Hudson Card. He is, this time a year ago, regarded as the absolute future of this program. His name was being whispered by Texas coaching sources like that were doing interviews with The Athletic and getting crazy and throwing Aaron Rodgers' name out there as a comparison, which, quite frankly, as much as I love Hudson Card's talent, I've never quite gone there because you and I have a special appreciation for Aaron Rodgers' physical abilities. And I would never just loosely be like, that dude reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. But it was said he was the starter. There were so many expectations. He falls really, I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but kind of flat on his face as a young player. This season just went horribly awry. And now here comes Quinn Ewers, the new savior of the Texas football program, essentially Hudson Card 2.0 in 2022 from Hudson Card 1.0 in 2021. What now?
Yeah, I mean, it really becomes interesting because it's almost like, Hudson was kind of like where Casey was at last year, where, Hudson is right now the number one guy, but the backup is the one that everyone's talking about. And it's just kind of like now Hudson is in that same situation. And it's interesting because Ketch, we talked about the potential of that quarterback room. And really, we talked about the inevitability that quarterback room would start to clear out a little bit. And we saw Casey Thompson kind of officially announced over the weekend. Was it this weekend? I mean, we do so many videos. I feel
yes,
recently
it was.
So much happened. There was coaches coming and going, and Casey. I mean, there was so many things that were happening. But Casey decides like he's out, and we're now looking at a quarterback room that has Hudson, Maalik Murphy, and Quinn Ewers. It's almost like there's an argument that you can make for Hudson that says, all right, look, stay here, stay the course. I give him a little bit of a pass, honestly, Ketch, off of everything that happened in this season or all of 2021. Crazy to say this season because we're still in it. We're just not a part of it as like Longhorn riders. But he did struggle at times, but man, he had such a bad offensive line. I mean, it's almost like Ketch. It's almost like getting slapped in the face and being told, okay, the next time don't flinch. Well, I mean, it's hard not to flinch every time you get slapped in the face. It's hard for the guy not to be jittery in the pocket when he's going to get his ass rocked at any moment. So, if you're Hudson, you probably say, okay, at this point, you've got an advantage right now over Quinn. You know the playbook. You're right now the number one guy. You're ahead of everybody else who's in front of you. The question is, how long can you hold off Quinn Ewers? And how long do you believe?
Well, he can't. And this is the interest. And this is where, okay, I'm going to put to match your Santa hat. I need to have a Hudson Card hat that I put on my head as the president of the Hudson Card fan club, because I'm about to say some crazy stuff now. Okay.
Oh.
This is all Steve Sarkisian's fault. Look, I've been covering college football for a long time. I have never seen a young quarterback given up on as easily as Steve Sarkisian has unofficially given up on Hudson Card. Flat out. He ran Hudson Card into the lion's den unbeknownst to him. Like, the thing is, Steve Sarkisian's supposed to be the expert. He didn't see it coming a mile away. And it's Hudson's fault. It's Hudson's fault that he, as a second-year player who started one career game, it's Hudson's fault that because I think Steve Sarkisian took the Arkansas loss personally. And the way that he reacted specifically to his usage with Hudson Card was wild because he was so committed to him through 2.5 quarters. At halftime, we were like, man, they need to save Hudson Card. They really have to bring Casey Thompson into the game. He didn't do it. Until the game was lost, he stayed with Hudson Card. And then he quit on Hudson Card. That's not my opinion. That's what happened. That's what happened. And in the history of college football, what player with Hudson Card's obvious raw talent has ever been given 2.5 quarters on the road at a team that was clearly superior? Like, we didn't see it then. This was a 5-7 Texas team that went into that game ranked and favored, and everybody was like, Texas. I predicted Texas to win that game. We were all wrong. And the person who's bore the brunt of everybody being dead wrong is Hudson Card. But nobody was more wrong than Steve Sarkisian. He never saw it coming. He didn't see that his starting quarterback, which he's the starting quarterback maker, he's the savant of quarterback coaching. His job, really his only job in 2021, was to get the quarterback thing figured out. Forget about the record. Can you go into 2022 feeling good because you went through a year of development and growing pains and everything else? And it was a disaster. Not just with Hudson Card, but with Casey Thompson, who's already out the door. It has to be the single biggest one-year quarterbacking coaching disaster of Steve Sarkisian's career. In the process of his failure, 2 guys' career in Austin may have blown up in front of his face. Now, look, it may work out because Quinn Ewers has arrived. But what's happened to Hudson Card is coaching criminality. It can't happen. It wouldn't happen anywhere else. And that Steve Sarkisian put himself in a weird checkmate position where he just can't ever play Hudson Card again. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. That's where we are. We've reached the point where Hudson Card, given almost no time to develop because of the expectations that people like myself, but even his head coach, put on him, because we were all wrong about where we thought he was as a player who only had a year of COVID ball under his experience. His career in Austin is basically over before it ever got started. And I think there's a lot of fingers that can be pointed around. You can point the finger at me. Like, I clearly thought that Hudson Card was more developed and ready to go than he was. And I'm part of the media echo chamber that put an unfair amount of pressure on Hudson Card. But as much as I failed, I did not fail more than the head coach did. We've forgotten that 2021 happened because the 2022 recruiting class just came in and there's so much excitement. But we can't ignore the fact that that disaster of a 5-7 year literally just ended a couple of weeks ago. And in the ashes of that 5-7 season is an absolute quarterbacking mishap.
What should have happened in your opinion? Do you feel like he should have finished the Arkansas game, given a chance to start the following week? Like, what should have happened?
I think what should have happened is Steve Sarkisian should have had a better feel for where he sees them every day. Sees them every day. The answer can't be, well, we saw practice and we thought. I mean, I get that to some degree, but he was so wrong. But we get to the third game of the season, and it's like, oh, Casey should have been the starter. He saw him like 40 times in person. He got him all during the spring. He got the entire offseason. He had scrimmages and practices and nothing in his 20-plus years of coaching college football and the NFL. Rang a bell, said, man, I know everybody's going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on this kid. But it ain't there yet. But he didn't see it. So we get to the Arkansas game, and he has a meltdown, which, quite frankly, every young quarterback that I've ever covered at Texas, including the guys that have their numbers retired in the stadium. He had a meltdown that young quarterbacks have, with horrible offensive line production, with receivers dropping balls, with no running game. What did Bijan Robinson have in that game rushing? Do you remember?
The Arkansas game?
It was like 39 yards, if I'm not mistaken.
A lot. I'll look it up.
So we didn't give up on Bijan Robinson. Why? I would contend that 39 yards in that game is as big of a disaster for the offense as anything that Hudson Card did in that game, who only turned the ball over once in the second half.
69, by the way, 69 and a touch.
60, because he got it late in the fourth. He was part of the Casey Thompson renaissance in that last fourth quarter where Texas came alive a little. But if you go back to the early part of that game, Texas didn't run the ball at all. They couldn't protect him at all. They come back from that game talking about they couldn't block Arkansas at all. Sark goes and does the film review. We both know, we've reported on this, that the film review apparently was as brutal as any film review could go for a quarterback. Bad enough that he benched him, but bad enough to basically end his career and give up on him, because Sarkisian went the rest of that season going out of his way not to play Hudson Card until Casey Thompson got so poor that he went back to Hudson Card. And look, we learned it in Arkansas. That kid's just not ready. He's just not ready. But that situation was so poorly handled that we're in this weird spot where Hudson Card is really, he's a player with 4 years of eligibility left if you include the redshirt year because of the COVID thing. He's a baby, but it feels like he can't. If I tell you that Hudson Card starts a football game at Texas next year, what does your brain tell you?
Quinn got hurt.
Because in our mind, you're right. Quinn got hurt. Only way. The truth of the matter is there's some stuff about Hudson Card that's the same as Casey Thompson. He knows the offense better than Quinn Ewers. He does have experience. I mean, that kid's played. He now has legit game time. He's learned some hard lessons. It might be that in the spring, he's way ahead of Ewers, who struggled picking up a new offense at Ohio State. It won't matter. It won't matter because we formed our judgments on Hudson Card so strongly off of practice that now we've rendered practice completely unimportant with him. And that, I mean, you and I've talked about this. There's nothing that he can do in practice that is ever going to earn the confidence of Steve Sarkisian again. How did we get here? How did we get to a point where Steve Sarkisian mismanaged this situation so poorly that Hudson Card goes into 2022 in an unwinning? There's no situation which he can win unless Quinn Ewers gets hurt. That's not my fault. That's not Hudson Card's fault. That's his coach's fault. And I fully believe that Hudson Card will eventually get in the portal. He'll transfer, probably not to a school on the level of Texas from a profile standpoint, partly because all the big-time programs go out of their way to recruit a quarterback in every class. And very few programs come out of classes empty-handed. So I think there would be a lot of programs that would love to have Hudson Card in them. But just like we've just seen with Quinn Ewers, the moment you bring in a quarterback with a big rep, all of the other quarterbacks on campus kind of scurry like cockroaches with the light coming in. Or like I did at high school parties when the cops showed up, jumping over fences to get the hell on out. Like whatever you got to do to get out, that's what that effect ends up being. So my guess is that Hudson Card will end up leaving, and it'll be to a program I don't know. Power 5? I don't know. But I expect eventually Hudson Card to be a phenomenal college football player. But I don't know how in the hell it could happen to Texas unless an unthinkable thing happened to Quinn Ewers and then a Disney movie occurs in the aftermath with Hudson Card.
So, I mean, my two final thoughts in closing. I think, Ketch, one, whenever you and I start debating a player's merits before the season, it becomes the kiss of death for both players.
Well, Hudson Card's a verb now. Like anytime we do this, let's not pull a Hudson kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And, I will learn from it for sure.
Second thing is, I feel like I just was a fly on the wall at the Hudson Card fan club meeting, kind of the end of the year wrap up. And now there are hors d'oeuvres on the table outside, guys. There's some drinks and some sodas out there for everyone, or maybe some Rogue Apothecary for those who might need it. I felt like I was able to attend a Hudson Card fan club meeting. And
hey, man, I will say this: anybody in the mentions, tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm wrong. Defend what happened with the quarterbacks this year with the person who's most responsible for the quarterbacks. Look, I think Quinn Ewers is going to be an NFL player, but we got to be able to call what 2021 was. It was a disaster. And what we can't do is pussyfoot around and be like, oh, well, recruiting and, don't say the quiet part out loud. No. What we do here on the Orange Bloods channel is we keep it a buck. And Steve Sarkisian is one of the great quarterback coaches of all time at the collegiate level. Like, his resume speaks for itself. 2021 was just the worst year he ever had. And imagine if Quinn, let me put it to you like this. If I'm wrong, close your eyes and tell me what you see with Quinn Ewers not on campus. If I'm wrong, tell me how you feel about Hudson Card coming into the year as your starter. Tell me I'm wrong, because everybody's given up on Hudson Card. I've given up on Hudson Card at Texas. I'm the president of the fan club. That all of this happened in 5 months. Tell me I'm wrong. It's whose fault it is? It's the 19-year-old's fault. If we're not putting blame on the guy getting paid millions, we'll just put it on the unpaid teenager. Screw Hudson Card for not realizing that he had to invent the wheel at 19 without any sort of safety net. No, man. I've said my piece. I won't ever bring it up again, but Sarkisian messed that whole thing up.
I love watching people rant, and this was actually I enjoyed it. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well.
Ho, ho, ho. Hey, the funny thing is I'm actually in a good mood, and right on for Sarkisian being able to get Quinn Ewers. It totally changes the vibe for you and me.
But I mean, we're in unison.
There, with a coal in he's got a pot of coal under the Christmas tree. I'm just pointing out, man, tough luck for Hudson Card to just get swallowed up by the most unthinkable quarterback situation I think I could have ever seen. Wow. All right, look, leave your comments in the comments section. You know what? You don't have to like this video if you don't want to.
Just don't hit dislike.
Don't hit the dislike. If you think that was a quality Alex Dunlap worthy rant, though,
that's interesting.
Give it a like. And if you're a part of the Hudson Card fan club, feel free to chime in the comments and be like, attaboy. Hey, I had to earn my presidency because my gut feeling is I'll be resigning.
You'll be, as you guys go to SMU or wherever it is in the future. Yes.
I can't go deep. If he goes to SMU, I can't. I'm sorry. I'll watch from a distance, but I had to relinquish my presidency of the fan club. As a matter of fact, I might get a lawyer calling me today saying, hey, officially, can you sign a letter of resignation? I'll be resigning in shame before today is over. But sometimes things got to be said. And here's the thing about Anwar and I, you'll always get from us. If it needs to be said on the Texas Longhorn football beat, we'll say it. A little bit of tough love today. I'm excited about the future, though. Don't get it flipped. For myself and Anwar Richardson, hey, man, go finish up your shopping. And thanks for watching. We'll do this again tomorrow. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Later.